Hello and welcome to your monthly, not so monthly, but your awaited 6.1 review. Welcome to the Luna 2 or 6.1 version review. And man, this version was definitely something. So you know, this video has barely any script in it because, yeah, you know very well how this version was just an absolute mess and just so incredibly boring to go through outside of the Archon quest, right? So many people were like, holy shit, is 6.1, can 6.1 just go away because there's nothing in it? And yeah, outside of the Archon quest, everything else was so boring. Like, events were bad, you know, with Stygian as always. Ever since Stygian came out, I've always said that it takes up an event spot. And like, you can be finished with Stygian in one day, right? This Stygian had some interesting stuff, funnily enough, but like you can be done with Stygian in one day, like the Abyss or Imaginarium Theater, compared to any sort of minor event that could last for 3 to 5 days, right? With stages and whatnot opening up, so it just feels empty as hell. And of course, Stygian is so unsatisfying, right, to play, so it's so bad. And yeah, with 6.1 having no exploration, just the next two acts of the Archon quest, and that it's wow. And yeah, we'll get into detail for more stuff for the main event and stuff, and others which caused this version to be even worse, honestly. So shall we begin? The Archon quest, of course, is our first thing. It has to be. So, Archon quest was good. We got the next two acts. Well, in all honesty, we're kind of done with the Nodacry questline, if you think about it in technical terms. Rerir has been taken care of, so unless he somehow gets out of the Shadow Realm, he somehow uncars himself, which, if he can, sure, right? If he does that, yeah, like, but if he can't, then yeah, the Archon quest is done. Rerir has been taken care of, and, you know, other things to be done in Nodacry is just some lore relevant stuff. There's nothing really, there's no active story quest happening. And with 6.2 and the stream, you can see that it's just about Alice and stuff. Like, it's the overarching plot of Nodacry is kind of done. It looks done. And 6.2 seems to be more focused on the overarching plot of the game. So, I mean, overall, the Nodacry quests were perfectly fine. As for these two acts, 3 and 4, I have to say that they were pretty tiring, but in a weird way. While playing the quest was like 3-4 hours long. It was long, even with me fast reading stuff, not necessarily skipping dialogue, but I quickly read the subtitles. I understand the context and whatnot. I hear the voice lines a bit here and there, but I skip stuff. I press that X button to go quickly, right? I don't just let the game play on auto, and it still took like 3 to 4 hours, But both acts, by the way, like, both acts were 3+ hours, and I did them back to back. But there weren't a lot of points where you could pause and just say, okay, I'll pause the Archon quest here and then continue. No, there weren't really that many points that you were allowed to do that. Nevertheless, yeah, but playing the Archon quest, I did not feel tired. That's the thing. Everything just piled up to the end. When the Archon quest finished, I was like, oh my god, I don't want to touch Genshin for a week. But playing the Archon quest, even as the hours were going by, I was like, this is going good, because the quests, both the acts, had good pacing, good stuff in them. Like, things were good. Like, these were probably one of the best acts ever for Archon quests. But yeah, like, again, I know, as far as I know, a lot of people were really tired when they finished the quest. But again, it was just at the end. Everything else, perfectly fine. So, more in detail about the acts. Yeah, both acts were pretty good. Act 3 was fine. I really liked the looking at a lot of perspectives, right? Like, characters split into teams, and there were like 3 to 4 places at the same time, and the way that they did small segments split up and then you teleport around was really well done. It was nice, cute, it had a nice loading screen and everything. Like, it was really done. It was nicely well done compared to doing a giant segment and then meeting up with another team only to do a fucking flashback or something with another team, with what the other team went by, which they've done, or some sort of black screen kind of thingy, which they've done a lot of times. This was so much better. The only note that I have with Act 3 is there's a point where you're supposed to escape the wild hunt as Rerir hunts you down. And you're put into a spot, and the quest says escape the wild hunt, basically. Escape the pursuit of the wild hunt. But this happened to both me and a friend of mine. The game shat itself completely when I reached that spot, and it looked like my internet died, but my internet didn't die. But yeah, as I spawned into the escape the wild hunt, and I defeated like a few of them, my connection to the server just basically died. But again, my internet was perfectly fine, and this happened to another friend of mine where the game just did not progress. And it actually doesn't make any sense, because the game tells you escape the wild hunt, but if you try to go outside of the circled area, it tells you go back to the quest area. So what the fuck do you want me to do? But then if you just continue to defeat the wild hunt enemies, the quest continues. So why what happened there? Why does it say escape the wild hunt's pursuit, but then when you try to run away, that's not what the quest wants you to do? Because I did that, and then I went outside the quest area, and then the quest just reset. It put me back, and then when I defeated enemies, it progressed. Like, that's not what escaping the pursuit means, now does it? I know the sample size isn't big, but happening at two people at different times completely, where exactly when we entered that part of the act, it just the game just shat itself. It either bugged out and the quest just reset itself over and over again, or it just didn't know what to do, so it just it destroyed my connection to the server because it bugged out. Because yeah, that can happen. Anyway, yeah, that's the only Act 3 note. As for Act 4, really nice stuff, like learning about Rerir and everything, learning more about Khaenri'ah itself. Holy shit, thank fuck. We saw more Dainsleif, we saw more this and that. Like, really cool. But my goodness, the chessboard. Oh my god. The chessboard segments with Rerir were completely unnecessary because they just padded out the quest, right? But mainly so they felt bad to play because the camera is at an angle, and I use a controller, and I mean even on keyboard I would bet that it can be a bit annoying, but on a controller, because the camera is angled, in order to move forward on sides, you need to move the stick diagonally. But this is an analog stick we're talking about, so if the game just randomly decides the analog input is not diagonally, but it's up or left, or something like that, then you won't go where you want to go, and guess what? That happened a lot of times to me. It happened a ton of times where Eric just, instead of going forwards, he went to the side because the camera was angled, and you cannot change the angle of the camera at all. It was really frustrating, and especially because the movement in this chessboard segment was very precise for some reason. Like, the movements that you needed to do were so precise in getting 4 steps, and then specifically you need to calculate your 4 steps to go to another space that will give you more steps and shit. And like, they even put enemies in there, but it was actually better to ignore the enemies because the enemies took away your steps. So what would happen is that you go towards an enemy, you kill them, and then Rerir would just reset back because you ate up all of your steps. So like, what's the point of the enemies? Because I'm just gonna get reset anyways. So ignoring them was actually better than interacting with the enemies. It was janky as hell to do because of the angled camera, and just the stupid precision with the steps, and just how specific they were. It actually made me angry at some point because so many times I was one step away from getting more steps, and then the game just read a wrong analog input from my stick, and it didn't get me to the spot where it gave me more steps, and then it just collapsed and went back like 12 steps. It pissed me off a lot. So yeah, I hated the chessboard. Like everything else, like how they represented Rerir and the other sinners and it's like that was fine. Like I don't the chessboard aesthetic, that's not a problem. The gameplay was. That was the main problem. And then the other one, oh my goodness, the other one that I was gonna say was Nefer's story quest. So I guess they wanted all of the Nodecry 5 stars to have an integrated story quest because Durin isn't gonna have one. Durin has a separate story quest, but he's also in the main Archon quest, so I don't know. But yeah, like I guess the Nodecry 5 stars will have, integrated story quest. I guess that's how we're gonna do it. But yeah, with Nefer, she kind of had she had both the bad stuff and the good stuff from the Flynn's and Llama integrations from before. Nefer's story quest was perfect for Nefer herself. It told everything you needed to know. It was Nefer's backstory. It told everything from her as a child to her getting her mystical power, mystical board thingy. Like, that's cool. But then it was so shoehorned in at the end of Rerir's story. It was like, come on. The fact that, something went wrong as we were looking at Rerir's story and now we're stuck with Nefer's, and it's like, come on. Yeah, it was only like 30 minutes max. It wasn't that much, but still, really not. Like, it's exactly the both bad and good things that I said. Good as in, for a story quest, it is perfectly that. It is the story quest. But bad as in the integration is so bland, is so badly done that, yeah, it does it balance itself out? Yeah, kind of it balances itself out, but still, the integration to the Archon quest was horrendous. Because again, they just ass-pull some reason to force you into Nefer's story quest. And it's also at a spot where you're like, oh my god, I learned all about Rerir, and now we gotta set up the plan to actually, get him. That's it. But then it's like, no, here's 30 minutes of a random story. It's like, really? Really now? But the story is decent if you like the character, but still. And last note on the Archon Quest Act 4 was the Rerir fight itself. Oh my, holy shit. Oh my goodness. So, first of all, he has so many phases. But the first phase is fine. You have Flynn's, Llama, and I think also Nefer and the Traveler. I think that those were the characters, but I know that you had Flynn's and Llama at least. And yep, you deal damage, it's all good, but then they shoot out Flynn's and Llama, and you're stuck with a shitty Nefer and the fucking Hydro Traveler. No joke, it took me 10 fucking minutes plus to actually do the fight because Nefer just dealt no damage. And yeah, Nefer is also one of the more technical characters. It's like telling somebody you're playing Hu Tao wrong because how the fuck is the game going to tell you jump cancel with Hu Tao? The same thing is with Nefer. She needs a bit more technicality in order to play her well, but still, this Nefer dealt no fucking damage. Your only support is the Hydro Traveler. There's no Ascendant Gleam. There's nothing of the sorts. It is bad. Like the Hydro Traveler. I need to make Lunar Blooms, motherfucker. The Hydro Traveler ain't gonna do shit. So yeah, it legit took me 10 minutes because the two characters just took one fucking pixel out of Rerir's HP, and I had to go through 2-3 phases of that fight. It was a mess. It was horrendous. It completely ruined the whole fight, genuinely, as I'm stuck here with a shitty Nefer and the Hydro Traveler 10 minutes in trying to kill this motherfucker. It was really badly done, seriously. The fight looked cool, but then if I'm stuck here for so long with such an unsatisfying gameplay, then yeah, it's gonna suck. So yeah, those are my notes on the Archon Quest. Overall, the story and everything was good, but these notes, especially in Act 4, they need to be addressed. The chessboard was shit. Nefer's story quest was extremely shoehorned in, even if it was a good story for Nefer, and the fight was abysmal. So yeah, I mean, overall, yeah, Nodecry is one of the better Archon Quest. Again, if we're technically saying that it's done now. It's not exactly done, but it's also done, but who knows, maybe he'll be back. Maybe he will uncard himself and somehow come back from space. So yeah, I mean, overall, these 4 acts were really, really, really good. Almost to the top of Archon Quest, I will have to say, in rankings. Definitely right there. So that's that. That's the Archon quest. And now for everything else in this version. You know, the one thing that of course I haven't mentioned up until now, and I think we should get it over with. Milliastra is dog shit. It is a horrendous idea that simply does not belong in Genshin. You can use the Genshin assets, but why the fuck is it tied to Genshin Impact itself? And before you start saying, you know, you need the assets and whatnot, you see, there's a very easy technical way to use the Genshin assets without tying Milliastra to it. You just point at the folder that the assets exist. That's it. And of course, if you don't have the assets, you download them. It's as simple as that. So there's no need for Milliastra to be tied to Genshin. That's one thing. Second thing is that it's just a shit thing. Like, are we serious, people? Releasing a game engine where you say, oh yeah, I'll release more features as the versions go by? No, motherfucker, give me you have the features, give them to me. Give them to me so that I can make a good game. And that's the thing, the games simply suck. I know a lot of people have like shown a few like, you know, like golden like picks here and there, or oh, China is making some crazy stuff. Let me tell you something. The China stuff that I've seen from Milliastra pales in comparison to what the Chinese have done in something like Dota or Warcraft. Like the custom games there. It pales in comparison to what the Chinese have done there. Or even the non-Chinese. I've seen so many good Russian like custom games and shit on Dota and stuff. Or even Western like whole studios even exist or existed in the Dota 2 custom game scene. Milliastra is just shit. These games pale in comparison to those. Like, yeah, I see those mini games like, oh, somebody made Shingeki on the Milliastra, and I'm like, yeah, like, good for you, like, good job, but I'm not gonna play it. It still sucks. Like, it's a good job for being in the Milliastra environment, but the game still looks janky and it sucks. There's nothing interesting in it, so why the fuck would I play this? And then why the fuck would I pay money to customize a shitty mannequin? Oh my goodness, these fucking mannequins and the whole paid bullshit. Oh my... It's just a recipe for disaster, man. It's just a complete recipe for disaster. Like, seriously. Like, what's the point? Here's a completely limited game engine, and again, we're gonna add more features, but you're gonna have to wait. And then, like, even with the limitations, like, these nobody would play this shit. Like, somebody tried to make, like, a horror thing, and it looked so ass. Like, again, good job. Like, good job, this is a nice effort, but nobody's gonna play it because it's trash anyways. Like, really? What the fuck is the point of Milliastra, man? Genuinely, does it exist just to have a shitty icon on the top right? And then to also, holy shit, does Milliastra exist to flood the update thing in the notices? Have you gone to the update like notes in the notices tab? It's filled with Milliastra stuff. You can barely scroll down. You have to scroll down so much to see what actually was updated when the game updates, because there's so many notes on Milliastra having problems. So why the fuck was this released? Seriously, man, that's so fucking stupid. So let's move on. Fuck Milliastra. Milliastra is such a bad idea. Like, disconnect it from Genshin, make it an actual game engine, and that's it. That's it. It doesn't even make sense lore-wise, come on. Like, the TCG, I can understand the TCG being there. Serenity Pot, iffy, but the TCG, I can see more being attached to Genshin, even though, you know, it should still have a separate client. Anyways, but Milliastra, not at all. Milliastra, not at all. Anyways, let's move on to events. So, the events that we got were, the main event was Sumeru based, so people were really excited for that. Of course, there's Cillian Onslaught, there was a Soros event, and then a co-op rhythm event. Let's of course start with the main event. The main event promised a lot. I mean, we're back in Sumeru and everybody loves the Sumeru gang, but it was advertised as a Layla event, and then it wasn't a Layla event. My goodness, this story had no focus whatsoever. Seriously, I will have to say, genuinely, that there was as much or even more haikave Al-Haytham and Kaveh stuff compared to Layla. Fucking Kaveh felt more attached to the story than Layla. What the fuck was Layla's attachment? Oh, hey, one of your ancestors came here at some point. Yeah, he was with Dotore, but like that's it. Like he did nothing with Dotore. He was just here. That's Layla's connection. I mean, at least Kaveh has like Merak, and Merak is like a core from this tomb and stuff. Like he's more connected to this thing. Yet this event was advertised as a Layla event. Like what the fuck? Again, I bet you if you're a High Kaveh fan, you got more stuff than Layla fans. Seriously. Like she appear, like you start the quest, and yeah, here's Layla. She's talking about how many moons are in the sky, and you're like, oh my goodness. Is the Sumeru gang going to like learn about the fake sky or something? Right? And then, no. Oh, it was a shitty question, the cat says. Fuck you, can I kick that fucking cat? Like, seriously, it was so... It had... Like, the story had no focus and, like, nothing. Like, seriously, you start off with such an interesting thing of there being a secret place. It's like it does weird stuff to people that makes them repeat sentences. And like, again, the main thing, which was how many moons are there in the sky, and then it completely loses focus to tell you, yeah, it's me, Todd, and I've got my buddies, and we play chess. That's it. Yeah, King Desret was an asshole. He was a crazy asshole. Who could have guessed? That was the story. And then, oh yeah, Dotore was here. That's it. Like, young Dotore was here. Thanks. That was the story. Like, yeah, it had no focus. And then you finish the second act, and like you get out of the tomb and stuff. That's the second act, and then that's it. The story finishes, so you're like, okay, Act 3 will have some sort of epilogue. You know, maybe we'll just, you know, like Tinari or Sen or somebody will come and tell you, oh, I did some more digging and yada yada yada. Here's some more lore or something. No, there's no third act. There's no third act whatsoever. The story just finished there. It had 2 acts, and it just felt unfinished. What the fuck was happening? Like, what the hell was this? Was this mess of a story? Everybody was so excited to be back with the Sumeru gang, because the Sumeru gang it fits really nicely with a lot of shenanigans, and then they got fucked with this story, because it was unfinished, had no focus, and it was advertised as a Layla event, and fucking Kaveh had more spotlight than her. So, good job? Question mark? Anyways, minigames, well, they were completely disconnected from the story as well, I gotta say. It was helping Collei do some stuff, so sure. But yeah, there were 3 minigames. One was a shitty Subway Surfers / I mean, it kind of reminded me of Sonic stages, not gonna lie. I guess maybe Sonic Dash. Yeah, it was basically shitty Subway Surfers. The dolls, the Amber's doll and Collei's doll moved slow as balls, even when you switched the colors to be correct. And the stages were over in less than a minute. So think about that. The thing that you control is slow as balls, and the stage is over in less than a minute. So if these dolls went at any faster, then I would bet the stages would be less than 30 seconds. It was boring, shitty. In all honesty, it made me want to boot up Sonic Unleashed. Genuinely, that's what I meant. I felt so bad playing that shitty minigame. I was like, I want to go faster. Please, this is so brain dead. It's so boring because I don't do nothing. I press one button and that's it. Hell, sometimes there were these rings that automatically switched the colors and stuff, the dolls, so you had to press even less buttons. Like, it was so boring and bad. Again, I just wanted to boot up Sonic Unleashed. Hell, hey, I might even give you some fucking gameplay on the background just to fill up the video. Because, yeah, that's exactly what it made me want to do. Play another game. Congratulations. The second minigame was with Faruzan. And I cannot believe I will pull up this comparison. This will be a crazy comparison that not a single one of you, I bet, is going to understand. But this minigame with Faruzan was exactly like a segment in Crash fucking to Insanity from like 2004. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, bless ya, I guess. Because, yeah, the Crash to Insanity from 2003, 2004, somewhere around there, there were these segments where Cortex was running from something, or he had a fucking beehive on his head, so he couldn't see where he was going, so he was automatically going forward, and then you had to do stuff in order to make sure he doesn't fucking die. And that's exactly this minigame. These Faruzan dolls would just automatically go through a path, and you had to like pick up buffs and place them at points in order to give the dolls some sort of buff, or like make them jump, make them go faster, make them have like more weight in order to not get carried by wind or something, place some buffs on platforms to raise them or lower them. And it just felt like shit to play because you were on the same like 3D plane as the dolls. So controlling which buff you want to take, where you want to place the buff and stuff, just felt like shit, especially on a controller with a slow camera and all of that. It just didn't feel good. I don't know why the heck we weren't just stuck in some sort of like 2D camera where we were able to more easily control where things went. Also, you only had one slot for a buff to carry, so you had to constantly switch back and forth on buffs in order to do stuff. And many stages wanted you to place a buff at the beginning, take it out, place it again, take it out, place it again. Like, do this non-stop on a 3D plane with a slow camera where there's like a 50 million buffs on the ground, so you can grab any one of them as you're trying to point at the one that you're specifically going. Like, it wasn't good. It was not good. I mean, it got boring after like 2 stages, and it simply just wasn't fun to control because of the 3D plane. Again, why weren't we stuck at a 2D camera or something? Fucking Crash to Insanity did it better. How the fuck do you manage to fuck up something that a game from 20 years ago did good? Holy shit. Yeah. Also, you were with your own characters, with no abilities, so you could only just dash around. Like, the dolls moved really fast, especially if you gave them any speed boost, but you were slow as balls. So that's good. And then the last minigame was a combat minigame. But unfortunately, it was unsatisfying as fuck. I don't remember if they did this before Natlan. I don't remember if this was this kind of minigame was done in Fontaine or even Sumeru. But I do remember it from Natlan, so correct me if I'm wrong here. But remember the City Tower minigame from Natlan? That horrendous thing that they wanted you to one-shot a 50 million HP enemy in like 10 seconds? Yeah, that thing. That tower event had two phases, 2 stages, 2 like halves. In one half, you had one team that was doing some sort of objective in order to get a buff for the second half, and that's exactly what they did here. You have 2 halves. One half, you can use trial characters in order to do some sort of objective, like trigger Vaporize, trigger Burgeon, heal a ton, and stuff. And then, depending on how you went on that objective, you got a buff for the second half. The problem for the unsatisfaction. I mean, number one, on the first halves with the objectives, sometimes getting the max buff, which I think was level 5 usually, could be a bit of a pain in the balls. Just like, you didn't need the level 5 buff, but as a completionist kind of style thingy, you kind of wanted the maximum buff. But some of them were a bit annoying to get the maximum buff. Like, one of the stages was Night Soul based. The abyss enemies that have a bar that fills up, and then you can deal damage to them. Yeah, they had these enemies, and you had to fill up the bar, but if you didn't have Night Soul, good luck getting the maximum buff. The one that really pissed me off, I saw some people were like, oh, the healing one. Brother, the healing one was super easy. The one that pissed me off was the frozen hits one. You had to hit enemies that were frozen, but the scaling on the buff levels was so busted at the end. It was like, like a 60, 160, 120 or something. I remember specifically that getting to level 4 was super easy. Level 5 though, it went from 260 to 360. 100 more hits on frozen enemies. It was impossible to do without the trial skirk or a skirk. They gave you because they gave you only one enemy at a time. Because, maybe if we had multiple enemies, you could get multiple hits in, and it would be easier. But yeah, they had a Ruined Guard or something with a bunch of HP in order to, not die. But like, no matter what, if I didn't use the Trial Skirk, I was not able to do that. And even with the Trial Skirk, and I had Furina and Kaeya Furina and Kaeya, and I think a Xingqiu. So we're talking 3 characters that do a bunch of hits. You know, Furina with her summons, Xingqiu with the rain swords non-stop, and then Kaeya with C6 Kaeya even with the 4 icicles. Even that and Skirk. Well, I barely did the 360 hits. I don't know about you, but again, I mean, yeah. Like, unless you had a character with so many hits like Skirk, it was impossible to fucking do. I tried Risley with a bunch of attack speed, and again, Xingqiu and Furina and Kaeya and stuff. Nope. Not at all. Not even close. He could reach like 280, maybe 300, not even close to 360. And even with Skirk, I did so many retries, and most of the time I reached like 350 or 340. It was insane, that frozen fucking objective. But the main reason why this minigame was unsatisfying was because the maximum badge you could get was gold. And that's it. No matter how high you went with your score, the only badge you could get was gold. Not even a secret like rainbow platinum badge like they've had previously. None of that. Just gold, which was super easy to reach, like 4,000 points. And I told you, you didn't even need the maximum buffs to reach 4,000 points. It was super easy to reach the 4,000, and then there was just no satisfaction at all to going higher. Like, again, like, unsatisfying. So easy to get the primo gems and stuff, like the maximum badge level, which was gold, and then nothing else for going the extra mile. With doing the objective, you know, maximizing out the buff, and then getting a good team for the second half. None of that. You could get 10,000, 15,000 points, no matter what, nothing else. So it was so unsatisfying, so unbelievably satisfying to play this combat minigame. So overall, holy shit, what a downer of an event. What a disappointment. We're back in Sumeru, yet the story, I mean, yeah, the antics between the characters was the Sumeru gang, but the story, like, just, it was nothing. Advertised as a Layla event. And guess what, by the way? You got a Collei for a reward. You played all of those shitty minigames and the reward was a fucking Collei. Brother, I get a Collei at free when I start Sumeru, and I get a Collei for free from the Abyss. You advertise this as a Layla event. There was no Layla to be found as a reward. And fucking Kave had more focus than Layla, and I didn't see a fucking Kave as a reward either. And I think... Actually, I believe that Collei just reran with Nefer. Like, fucking give us a Layla or a Kave who never rerun. You just reran Collei. Holy shit, it was like the shitty minigames and then the shitty reward and then the disappointing story. Wow, what a disappointment. One of the worst main events, which, guess what, made going through 6.1 even worse. People were so disappointed at the story. Holy shit. So yeah, that's the main event. An absolute disappointment of an event. So, shall we get to the other events? Stygian can suck my dick, of course. Shillian Onslaught. This time you had the Frost Knight Hera, which, you know, is an interesting boss to perhaps, you know, you think that you'll be like, hey, I'll infuse the Frost Knight Hera with Pyro, Hydro, or Cryo, and then play Vaporize and Melt to deal a lot of damage. But then they gave this thing 50 billion HP, so you know, no matter if you're trying to do some sort of like, I don't know, Vaporize Nuvilette, fucking Melt Risley, my C1 Risley, like, or I don't know, like Vaporize non-stop Vaporize Huda, or anybody, they're like, fuck you, better use Skirk or Mavuika with Melt in order to actually do this thing. Fuck's sake. I mean, or of course, bring Nefer, bring Lunar in order to completely ignore its mechanics. Fuck's sake. I mean, I did it on Dire with Flynn's, but even that didn't feel good. And then there was, oh, my boy, my favorite boy, fucking Sigurd. I fucking hate Sigurd because he has a fuck ton of HP. And guess what? I brought my C1 R1 Flynn's. I literally have Flynn's second best team without Inefa. Like, if it's not Flynn's, Inefa, Sucros, and any other, and Aino, it's Flynn's, Aino, Sucros, and Official with the elegy for the end, or something akin to that. In the previous Stygian, I destroyed the Fatui boss on Dire. This time, I couldn't even fucking touch Sigurd's half fucking health with his bullshit. A C1R1 Flynn's, really, with his second best team, basically. And I cannot fucking do Dire when on the previous one with the Fatui guy, I destroyed him. Come the fuck on. Fuck Sigurd, genuinely. And then lastly was the Fatui Operative, which was, well, it brought a lot of interesting stuff, didn't it? Of course, it was an Arlecchino shield, kind of to the max. Honestly, Arlecchino didn't really do much. It just Bond of Life. But, of course, you all know the interesting stuff that the Fatui Operative brought to the table, which was Jun! A bunch of Juns cheesing the fuck out of the Fatui Operative. I mean, unfortunately for me, I even leveled up my Jun to level 90 to try these out. But unfortunately for me, even though I managed to stun the Fatui Operative, I could not do a single point of damage. I don't know how super specific the frames are and everything. Actually, as I'm recording this, just a few days ago, a new strategy was revealed where you place the Geo-Traveler's rock and then a Zhongli pillar right next to it, and you somehow trap the Fatui Operative inside the pillar, and you can do it with either like Mona or Chan I saw lately. And that was interesting, but I'm not going to do that. I don't need to waste my time with this shit. Even if I did Frost Knight Hera with Flynn's and then the Fatui Operative with the John cheese, I still got a shit on fucking Sigurd. Fuck off. Anyways, yeah. I mean, the saga, the John saga of defeating the Operative with fall damage was perfect. You know very well, of course, that they're going to disable the fuck out of anything like this in the future. Oh, baby, they're 100% doing that. So, thanks. So, yeah. Interesting stuff. Like, the only time Stygian will be interesting, and it's because we cheesed it. I mean, it was a fun exploit, but you know very well Mihoy is going to fucking crucify us if we dare try anything again like that. Other than Stygian, there was the Saurus event. So the Saurus event was literally, what is it called? Fireboy and Water Girl? You know that Flash game from 2008? That was exactly it. It was the Traveler and a Saurus, and you switch between them to do brain-dead puzzles in order to progress through rooms. If you hate the Sauruses like me, you hated this thing, because the Sauruses control like ass, and the puzzles were brain-dead. And that's it. That's literally it. It was a shitty event. And the last one was a co-op rhythm event, which I didn't play because I don't like co-op in this game, because I'm playing for the single-player action RPG, not shitty co-op minigames. And secondly, I did the tutorial, which was forced, and it was one of the worst rhythm games I've ever played. Good. It was Simon Says in a shitty rhythm with no, like, beat map, let's say, no notes, no anything like you sing notes or anything. And I saw a bunch of people complain that, hey, I'm deaf or any kind of combination, and I can't do this shit because there's no, like, you know, visual way to know, because you had to hear the two drum beats in order to do your, like, it fucking sucked. Anyway, and yeah, that's that. So that was 6.1. Amazing, huh? I'm even surprised that this video has gone for 40 minutes, and I'll expand it even more, because the last thing I want to talk before we finish this video is the buffs. The Mondstadt Hexensrinkel buffs, which they called Hexarray, which is one of the stupidest things. I'll just call them Hex characters and Hex buffs. So the Hex characters from ye old days have now gotten a bunch of buffs, and it's insane. So, Mondstadt characters, we've got Venti, Mona, Albedo, Sucrose, Razor, Fischl, I don't know if Klee, and then Durin, because he released. All of these characters got a lunar, like Ascendant Gleam type of thingy, basically. Just like Nodocrack characters, where having two Nodocrack characters makes them whole, here having two, or sometimes not even having two actually characters, but having two of these Hex characters brings a lot of stuff around with these buffs. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because some of these buffs are locked behind constellations, actually. But it is kind of a double-edged sword because, on one hand, it is locked behind constellations, and many people did not pull for these constellations because they sucked, you know? But the other side, the other edge of the sword is that for those that invested into constellations, they are actually now good constellations. And I guess now that Tamper Thyself Far whatever kind of shitty event that you have to wait 8 weeks in order to get a constellation finally actually is kind of decent. I cannot fucking believe it. We released something in 6.0 And we made it good in 6.2. Yeah, I mean, I know you know that 90% of the player base immediately switched to Albedo or Venti or something on that thing, right? Getting C1, C2 Albedo or a Constellation on Venti, you know, everybody did that once they saw the leaks for the buffs, right? I mean, actually, speaking of that, temper thyself, whatever the fuck. Wow, you have to also wait 2 extra weeks. I mean, thank you that you give players 2 extra weeks if they missed any to get the Constellation, but for those that didn't miss them, I need to wait another 2 weeks for the 6.2 patch to drop in order to start gathering points again for another Constellation. Yay. And also, I have C1 Albedo now, and I cannot get C2 Albedo because of this stupid restriction that they've got. Anyway, let's talk about the buffs though. Durin is Durin. I mean, Durin, everything about the buffs is baked into his kit. He's perfectly fine even without them, but yeah, Durin is not really a buff thingy, right? Venti, though, oh my goodness. So they turned Venti into your new Anemo DPS. That's it. Fuck out of here, Chaska. Varka, I don't know what he's gonna be doing, but Xia, I mean, not Xiao, but poor Scaramus, yeah, he's out. Venti has become an insane new Anemo DPS because not only does he give like a 50% damage bonus from his ultimate, which they also changed the targeting. Thanks, I guess. That'll need some getting used to. But Venti now gains like a huge Anemo infusion on his attacks when you like use his ultimate or something, and the multipliers are insane. And then also his constellations, early constellations, give him some insane buffs as well on those attacks. Holy shit, they made Venti insane as an Anemo DPS, and the fucking bastard, the greedy bastard, gets a new bow! So Venti not only has Skyward Harp, not only has Elegy of the End, he gets a new fucking bow to play with, the greedy bastard. He's becoming the fucking Zhan Ling of bows. Great. After him is Mona, which is getting a definitely some interesting stuff. She can actually extend the duration of her Omen, and she gives an insane Vaporize buff because they want you to play her with Durin. But I don't like that she's on field, man. Like, she needs to be on field in order to deal extra damage because she gets some extra charge attacks or whatever, and she needs to be on field to extend Omen's duration and stuff. And I think she actually gets like a bigger Vaporize buff, I think, something like that. Yeah, I don't like that she's on field, man. Like, she gets nothing for her off-field capabilities, which people wanted. Like, she's one of the only characters that can give you a lunar damage, a lunar reaction damage boost. So, like, why can't we give her a buff like, hey, if an enemy is affected by Omen and her skill hits the enemy affected by Omen, it extends the duration, just like her hits will now extend the duration. Like, something for her off-field, man. It just feels like shit, because who the fuck is building Mona as a non-field DPS? I mean, now with Durin, yes, but come on. Then is Albedo. Holy shit, Albedo has taken the absolute top spot as a sub DPS and even a fucking buffer at C2. He is a monster. Not only do they first of all, he has many ways to guarantee that even if his flower dies, which of course happens a lot of times, he can still get skill hits in because it spawns new things. He gives a damage buff based on his defense. His C1 gives him 50% def now. And at C2, which, C2 gave him defense scaling on his burst, his C2 can now automatically activate his burst while off field. He can just cast bursts like it's nothing. And the big thing, except for the extra damage that you'll get because you're at C2, is that it activates his AM buff. His C2 activates his 125 EM buff. That is insane. He's a free Sucrose, basically. He's a free half Sucrose with insane sub DPS, insane damage buffs. Holy shit, they made Albedo insane. Fucking at C4, his old C4 is the shitty extra plunge damage buff, but now his C4 is a free Zhan Yun. He's a free Xian Yun. He gives a jump boost, so everybody can fucking plunge attack. Holy shit! Albedo has become an absolute monster. his C2 is super worth it. Especially now at Notacry, where we have a lot of EM buffing needed. Like, he's insane. So that's incredible. Albedo is incredible. Klee just became an actual good pyro DPS. I think they also gave her some attack speed animation stuff. Like, she actually fucking attacks faster and not like a snail anymore. Which, you know, I don't own Klee, but at trials and stuff, she'll be better to use. But yeah, like, she gets a lot of damage buffs and yada yada yada. She's an actual pyro DPS. Now I'll wait for Diluc. And then the 4 stars. Sucros's buff are a joke. Sucros's buff are a joke. I mean, Sucros did not need buffs, let's be honest. But also, it's kind of like a slap in the face. She gives you like 5% extra damage and 3% extra damage because reasons. Like, really? 5% extra damage? Really? Really? Yeah, again, like, Sucros was insanely powerful, but, like, again, this is kind of like a slap in the face. I would actually much rather she gain some, like, energy recharge or something, rather than giving me 5% damage. I'd rather she gains 5% ER or something. Like, what is this? Razor is Razor is interesting because they said, yes, you know, the 1.0 physical DPS? Yeah, fuck that. Fuck physical, we don't care about it at all. Razor has now become one of the best electro DPSs. Fucking slap him with like Sevrus and Durin or someone like that and on Overload, and he's an insane electro DPS. Okay then. And then last, oh my goodness, is Fischl. Fischl is God. As simple as that. Fischl is God. So what they gave Fischl is that depending on a reaction, an electro reaction that to trigger, except for Quicken, of course, because fuck Dendro, I guess. But depending on if you trigger Overload or Electro Charged or Lunar Charged, Fischl gives you some insane buffs. On Overload, she gives you like 24% attack, and then on Lunar Charge, she gives you like 90 EM. So she's literally a free elegy of the end. Literally a free elegy of the end if you manage to trigger both Electro Charged and Overload, so an Overvape setup easily. But it gets better, because those numbers are the base numbers. Yes, you don't need a second character, a second Hex character for those. Fischl just does that. She's a free elegy of the end, just like that. But if you get a second Hex character, those bonuses double. She gives you 40+% attack and 180 EM with 2 characters. Holy shit, Fischl is a god right now. She is absolutely a god for Flints. Like, if you manage to just dodge around with Flints, fucking Flints, Aino, Sucros, and Fischl is insane, and especially if an enemy dares to have a pyro aura, she'll give 40+ attack to Flints, which is insane. Of course, Overload, if an enemy has a Hydro aura, or just Overload in general with 40+% attack, because in an Overload team with Sevrus, which, as I've always said, Sevrus teams are not Overload teams, they're just, the only reaction that they can trigger is Overload, right? In those teams, which is just pure DPS, 48 attack? Holy shit. Holy shit. And then she's just a free Sucros. Like, the average Sucros gives 200 EM. So Official, with an elegy of the end, gives you 280 EM. She's a free Sucros. She's an entire Sucros, my goodness. Holy fuck. Like, again, Sucros got a joke as a buff. Fischl was already powerful, and now she's a god. She's literally just a god. Thank fuck she's voiced by Maya Uchida, or yeah, that's her name, right? Which I love because of Dragon Guard 3, because she's Zero, and I love using Fischl, baby. Holy fuck, they made Fischl a god. So yeah, that's that. Those are the buffs. I will make a video on those buffs separately in order to separate them from this review or the 6.2 review or whatever, just so that they are separate. Alright, that's that. I also can include footage, I guess, of them. Anyways, because now I can't, right? Anyways, that's the 6.1 review. Overall, it was a mess. of a version. The Archon Quest was good, even if it had some flaws, but anything outside the Archon Quest was dead. Dead. Absolutely dead. So going through this version was ass. I mean, yes, we come from 6.0, which had a completely new nation and everything, and it was a surprising new nation. It wasn't just Snezhnaya, right? But even with that, man, 6.1 just sucked balls. Stygian Stygian as always stealing one of the minor events, the main event being disappointing as fuck, Milliastra is dog shit, yeah. So yeah, we somehow closed in 50 minutes. That's insane. But what I wanted to say is for any new videos, by the way, because the holidays are up and coming in just a month, right? Any new videos like Abyss reviews and of course the 6.2 review, if those come out on a weird schedule or whatever, it's because it's the holidays. So, every single person in the world almost is, focused on either religion or capitalism. So because of that, I will be on holidays and stuff, and I might not have the perfect time to record the video. So if they come out at weird points, that's why. I just wanted to preface that. Okay? So I'll see you in the next video, which should be the 6.2 Abyss and Imaginarium Theater for December. And I'll see you then. Goodbye.